Welcome to the Maritime UK Solent podcast. I'm here with Rachel Kitley, the principal of Cowes Enterprise College and Ormiston Academy. And Rachel's going to tell us a bit about her Maritime Futures programme that they've developed for the students in Cowes on the Isle of Wight. So Rachel, to start with, can you tell us a bit about the Maritime Futures programme at Cowes Enterprise College? Just start with the basics and help us through what it actually is.
Yes, okay, thank you. The idea is a simple one. It's about weaving the Isle of Wight's maritime heritage into everything that we do as a school. And it particularly focuses on Key Stage 3, so that's years 7 to 9. But we made the conscious decision to maintain traditional curriculum subjects. So we haven't kind of completely written a new approach to schooling, but we take the opportunities within those traditional subjects where we can to deliver core learning through that golden thread, as we call it, of maritime, where it fits. And about 10% of our lessons at Key Stage 3 are linked to our Maritime Futures curriculum. An example, we've turned what is potentially quite a dry topic of coastal management, which is in the National Curriculum for Geography, into the absolute highlight of the geography year. Students head out on boats to evaluate local examples of coastal management from the sea and then come back to school to present to geographers and coastal management experts their own opinions about how the council is spending the budget for coastal management. So it's really brought to life quite a dry topic, made it really relevant, practical and exciting. And that's just one small example of how our Maritime Futures curriculum works.
So going to give you some more examples, Rich. That sounds amazing. So what about what I would call, quite a boring subject like maths, which is hard work? Do you have Maritime Futures in the maths curriculum, which I think would be amazing if I was a uninterested year 9?
Yes, we do. Some subjects cover more perhaps, but they draw on maths even in other subjects. There's an awful lot of physics that we use as well, because we think about why boats float, for instance, and how boat design can really affect the way a boat performs in the water. So you need a lot of maths and a lot of physics to understand that. Sometimes I'll visit year 7 lessons and I actually feel a little bit like it's over my head as somebody that's not a maritime person myself, and they'll be talking about the force through the boat and the line of effort and so on, and I find it's almost a little bit above my own head with the physics, but they have to understand upthrust and quite a lot of other mathematical ideas. They draw on trigonometry when they're looking at plotting charts and routes on the ocean as well. So the idea is it's really making something quite relevant that could be a little bit intimidating for students, so they can see the practical application of it. And then we make it more practical again by showing the relevance of the subject and the learning in terms of careers, so that they understand why that learning is so relevant, and that when you understand something in physics, you can then use it later at work, so that we hope to bring it all to life for them. So we have a series of visits for students to businesses on the island, and we have maritime professionals, shipbuilders, naval architects, archaeologists that are working at the Mary Rose, for instance, all coming into school and working with the students, so that we can kind of keep the vital industries alive, we hope, in the future, but also show the students the relevance of their learning. And that spans all types of careers. What's so fantastic about the maritime sector is there's a career for everyone. Whether you're going to be a naval architect, a rigger, a marine archaeologist, an oceanographer, there's something in there that we hope will capture the attention of all our students.
So that goes on to what I was going to ask you next, is like, how did it come about, this curriculum? And did you feel then that there were job opportunities and careers that your students weren't aware of or hadn't even thought about?
Yes, we absolutely did. And we knew they were on our doorstep, but at the same time that not all our youngsters knew about them or would feel confident going into some maritime careers. So the idea is that we're marrying up the rigorous knowledge that forms science, technology, history, geography, maths with those employer encounters and meaningful careers education as well, so that everything kind of is drawn together into this exciting classroom experience.
So it sounds like you've had a really good response from employers as well, who have really got on board, there's a pun, sorry, to to come in and share what they know with the children and get them interested.
Yes, they have been absolutely fantastic. I mean, we talk about, just to keep the puns going, having an enthusiastic and willing crew with us from the community as well. So businesses locally on the Solent have been so generous with their time and energies. And we've also had fantastic funding coming in from both maritime organisations and also from education as well, and the Department for Transport. So we've been well supported, but our local businesses have really wanted to support, and that they obviously want to give back, but they also feel passionate about what they do and want our own children at school to know more about it.
So if you're going to walk into a classroom and say to year nines, today we're going to do this, what would you say to them?
Well, there's a whole host of exciting things that they could be doing, but I might be saying to them, today we're going to learn about coastal management by heading out on boats to evaluate local examples from the sea, looking out to see what the coastal management structures actually are on the island.
How long has the programme been going, Rachel? And are you seeing any impact on the students yet about what they're choosing, like for their GCSEs or what they're going to do next? Are you seeing any change from running the Maritime Futures programme?
Yes, so our students are currently in year 9 who've seen Maritime Futures through right from the beginning. They've been a little bit affected by COVID, of course. When we went into lockdowns, we didn't have quite the same range of opportunities for them at that time. So we started with year 7 and then we've rolled through. And maritime has become a much bigger part of our school more broadly. So we're definitely seeing students going off to take maritime courses and apprenticeships at university and at college age as well, which is really exciting, because the idea is that it's not just about giving the students a powerful sense, if you like, of their past and their present, although that is a big part of it. It's also about connecting them up to their future. We are working with Pearson BTEC on developing a new national qualification, which will be at it will be 14 to 16 age group. So at GCSE level, although a technical award, as they're called, in maritime studies, which is really exciting. So it'll be a brand new qualification that we're developing that we hope that schools all across the country would be interested in taking for their students. The idea there is that there's a pathway that we can set students up onto. So they've got these 3 years that are really rich and exciting and interesting, but there isn't much in place that is broad for all students when you get to 14. So this would just plug that gap, we hope, and then give them a springboard onto the fantastic range of opportunities and courses that do exist post-16.
Oh, brilliant. And so some of those employers that you're working with, do they have apprenticeships for post-16?
They do. And one of the ways that we connect students up is by having every single child at Key Stage 3, so that's about 900 of them every year, having a day where they work at CCAM, which is here on the Isle of Wight. And I know that the Solent LEP were a huge part of getting CCAM off the ground. So it's a centre of excellence for composites and manufacturing and marine. And we're so excited to get every child in the school experiencing a day there. So they work in industry standard facilities, but they also work alongside apprentices. And they actually work in the same part of the workshop as those apprentices, and they're apprentices working for a whole range of maritime industries. So it's a great way of introducing them to potential futures when they're quite young. They've been doing virtual welding. They've been exploring all sorts of kind of motorized engines and how they work, looking at composite materials and why they're so fantastic within the maritime industry. Our year 7s make Morse code kind of SOS emergency circuit boards, and then communicate messages to each other. So look at sonar as well. So that's been a really exciting part of the project.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. And it's great that they get out and about a lot, isn't it? It must make a real difference to them, seeing and being inspired by real apprentices who are not much older than them, but to see that that's what they could do.
Yes, and we've had alumni students back to us who are now apprentices, supporting in lessons as well. So we've got a fantastic guy that was with us a few years ago, who's now an apprentice boat builder, and he comes back to support us, our year 7s in DT, when they're making wooden boats. And that is so exciting to see, both to have the connection with a previous student, but also to have apprentices in the classroom to inspire the students.
So what impact have you seen on your students of this curriculum and learning about maritime in their day-to-day lessons?
So we were really thrilled actually with the impact that we've had. I mean, you see it in all sorts of ways. So first of all, students do achieve higher results on their assessments across the board when they're taught through the maritime lessons. But we also see that they're more motivated, and our staff really enjoy planning and teaching the lessons. I think they feel that what they're doing is inspiring, and they have a lot of ownership over their work because they're developing some really unique materials in their lessons. But we surveyed our students, and we had a really high number. I think it was about 85% found that they were really thrilled to be learning about so many new and different jobs as well. So that idea of helping students get into the industry, I think we've really managed to do some good work on there. And we also see it through some kind of lovely moments, if you like. So we take all our students to the Mary Rose, and there's a unit there that places the island into internationally important event. So our students are absolutely blown away at the idea that the Isle of Wight is featured in that Cowdray painting of the sinking of the Mary Rose. And you know what, that seemed to really change their perspective of where they're living, and to really be able to say, hang on a minute, I live in a really important and special place, that I could have literally stood where the school is and seen the Mary Rose sinking from here. So that kind of impact is a lot less tangible, if you like, but it's really quite special to know that you're changing the way your students feel about where they live. What do the parents think? Have you had any? Were they a bit dubious to start with, any of them, or did you get any of that, or were they well on board? In the main, they're well on board. Quite a lot of our parents are either working or knowledgeable about the maritime sector. I think what we have to be really clear about is that it's 10% of lessons, and it's there to bring to life learning that they already need to do. It's not that we've become a maritime school. We don't have a separate curriculum. We aren't doing something very unusual. It's a way instead to make the students feel quite special, and to help break down some of the barriers that they might face in the future if they do look to join the maritime industry. Rachel, you're on a national task force, the government's shipbuilding skills task force. Can you tell us what that entails and what that's about? Well, I feel really honoured and delighted to be a part of that on behalf of the school. The Shipbuilding Skills Task Force is looking to develop an ambitious strategy to support the future of the sector. And here at COWS, we feel equally committed to championing this. And I feel very honoured to be a part of that group of people that are working together across 18 months to think about how any deficits in skills that exist at the moment can be really eliminated, to make sure that in the future shipbuilding is a very strong industry. So are there quite a lot of skills missing from that industry at the moment? Or skills gaps, skills shortage? Yes, there is a skills shortage that the government have identified. and they have a very ambitious plan to make sure that in the future the maritime sector is what's making the country really strong. So to get there and to have a really flourishing and thriving industry that puts the country somewhere important internationally in maritime, they need to really rapidly address the shipbuilding skills shortage. And it's work like we're doing right back into year 7 at Cowes Enterprise College that supports that work in making sure the students are really interested from a young age in the sector. But of course, it also means looking at how to best encourage students who are older into the industry.
And is that things like qualifications, developing qualifications and...
Yes, it could be developing qualifications or apprenticeships, or making sure that the right pathways exist to take students through to all the varying different roles that there are in shipbuilding. And it's really about making sure that that thinking is connected up, and that some strong recommendations are there for the country to act on to make sure that we move forward.
Oh, it's brilliant. So you won an award this year, national award, the Maritime UK Award. So what was it like to win an award and have all your hard work recognised like that?
Yeah, it was really brilliant. It was very nerve-wracking on the evening, very nerve-wracking indeed, because we had no idea whether we were going to win or not. So we were absolutely on tenterhooks. But it was such a huge honour for Cowes Enterprise College to win the award. And you know what for me really resonated was it was such a kind of testament to the hard work at the students and staff at the school, and also wonderful for all the organisations and businesses who are so pivotal in enabling us to deliver maritime learning across the curriculum. So from my experience, I would really encourage anyone watching this to get involved in the Maritime UK Solent Awards. Could be by entering a category as we did, or just coming along or being a sponsor. It was an absolute highlight of our school year this year. We were so proud, it was so exciting, and it was wonderful to be there meeting so many like-minded people as well. So, you know, it could be the same for you as well.
Presumably you took your award back and showed your students.
Yes, we were so proud. We had, you know, a really special celebration, and we asked our students to decide how best to celebrate, and the students themselves kind of took assemblies to share the news about it. So that was a really thrilling moment, and it's been a lot of hard work and taken quite a lot of time to produce something which is a little bit different and special at the school. So it was great to be able to celebrate that work and to show staff and students that it's really worth doing as well.
What would you say to someone who was thinking about entering a Maritime UK Solent Award this year?
I'd really encourage you to fill out that application form. We had no idea we were going to win, but it's brought us so many benefits and was a real highlight of the year.
That's brilliant. So you're a judge at our Maritime UK Solent Awards. Thank you very much. And what do you hope that sort of raising the profile of Maritime UK Solent will do for our area and for businesses and those working in education, you know, in our region?
Well, I think it can make a huge difference. I feel so excited about having Maritime UK Solent Awards. You know, I think here on the Solent, maritime surrounds all of us, and its impact is felt in every one of our communities, and yet somehow not everyone is fully aware of all of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's really odd, isn't it, how a lot of people, it just sort of passes them by, I think, which is extraordinary.
It is. You know, you kind of can look out of our school windows and see the sea and see it all out there and know all that industry exists, but it doesn't mean that you're thinking about it or seeing yourself having a place in that. So, you know, ultimately the maritime sector does a fantastic job in helping our Solent economy. It supports high quality jobs, and yet it could do with having its profile raised. So, you know, I feel that it's a really important moment for us that we're launching these awards. and being able to have local individuals and teams showcasing that work, I think is very exciting.
Yeah, we're really excited about the awards, really, and really grateful that you're a judge. Thank you. My other question I wanted to ask you is, what would you say to any young person living in the Solent region who was considering a career in maritime?
Well, I do really hope that the awards help to encourage people into this amazing sector for work, and that our Maritime Futures curriculum does the same. And overall, I would say that the maritime sector is a flourishing and very diverse industry, and it has so many different opportunities, no matter what you're interested in, and what kind of subjects are your passions. There will be something for you. It's also something that has skills shortages, so it's a great potential workplace, and that makes it something that would really be worth considering. There are some quite encouraging reports at the moment that are really stressing what a fantastic place and sector it would be to work. So, for instance, it's very well paid. So the average pay is 30% higher than the UK benchmark across the maritime sector. And so, that could be quite something to think about from that point of view as well. It's also a growing industry, and it's projected to be growing even through these coming challenging times. So there's a lot of reasons why maritime is something that would really be worth considering. I mean, I really second that idea that it's so important that students and children have opportunities to work where they've grown up. Doesn't mean they have to, but it's important they understand what is on their doorstep and that they don't have to go away. And part of the Maritime Futures work is about making sure that students feel really proud of where they come from, and understand that there are so many opportunities on the doorstep if that's what they're looking for. If you take our work around, we've got a geography unit where you look at globalisation. So globalisation is in the national curriculum at Key Stage 3. But, name a school in the country where you can literally look out of the classroom window and see the containers coming past and track them online and see where they've come from, where they're going to, and what they're shipping. So the idea is our children used to feel, I think, quite isolated, or could feel quite isolated, especially as we're on the island. But it's about feeling completely connected to the world outside and realizing that we're not in some backwater that you'd need to leave at 16, but that actually we're in an amazing place full of great history, but also full of amazing opportunities for work in the future.
Brilliant. And finally, for students who are thinking about working in maritime and have lived here all their lives, what would you say about sort of making the most of where they live and seeing the opportunities that they've got here?
I would say that although there are many different things that you might enjoy doing, really do have a look at the maritime industry, because there is fantastic work and careers right on your doorstep, and you don't always need to move away to be able to have a really inspiring job.
Thank you for joining us today. It was great to hear from Rachel about how excited they were to win that National Maritime UK Award earlier this year, and I hope it's inspired you to enter the Maritime UK Solent Awards. Applications are open until August the 26th. Find out more on the Maritime UK Solent website, and follow us and like us, and see you in the next podcast.